Welcome to the Let Your Spirit Guides Speak podcast. I'm Deborah Engel, and I want to thank you so much for joining me today for information about living a happier and more creative life with the help of your personal spirit guides. You can find this podcast and many others at sacredstoriesmedia.com. Also, you'll find my award-winning book, Let Your Spirit Guides Speak, on Amazon, at Barnes & Noble, and at your favorite independent bookstores. And please stop by my website, deborahengel.com, for information about upcoming events and workshops. That's debraengle.com. Today I want to talk about building relationships with different members of your spirit guide team who can help you with what's called your shadow side. That's the part of you that offers the greatest opportunities for soul growth. You may not be familiar with your shadow side, and that's okay. In fact, it's probably likely because the shadow is the part of ourselves that we deny or repress, that we don't want other people to see. In fact, a lot of times we don't want to look at it either. It may be hard to see, except when we project it onto other people. For instance, let's say bossy people drive you crazy. Well, it could be that at some point you were probably taught that being bossy or controlling was unacceptable, and so you've repressed it. That's part of your shadow, but you're afraid of letting it out. In fact, you may be overly polite as a result. So, in the next few minutes, I'll give you a simple way to see and embrace your shadow, and work with your guides at the same time to bring your shadow into the light. So let's start with your team of guides. You may not know for sure who's on your team, and that's perfectly okay. But the chances are that you have more than one guide available to you. And each guide, just like each one of us, has their own strengths and wisdom to share with you. In other words, each one is with you for a reason. Just yesterday, for instance, I met with a client who has 4 guides. One is a wise soul who helps her with overall wisdom and gaining a new perspective on her life. Another helps her with feeling empowered as a woman. A third helps her to be more playful. And a fourth helps her to stay in the moment. Now, while she can feel the presence of one more clearly than the others, all of them are available to her to help her grow, and all she has to do is ask. This is an important point in doing shadow work, because sometimes we talk to our guides as a unit or as a whole, and there's certainly nothing wrong with that. But knowing which individual guides can help you in certain areas of your life can help you focus on the areas of growth that are most important to you right now. So, how do you identify your shadow and the different members of your spirit guide team who can be most helpful to you? Well, first, think about some of your primary qualities, your character traits, and then look at their light and shadow sides. So how do we do that? Well, here's an example. Let's say, for instance, that you are highly responsible and competent, and people know that they can count on you. That trait has led to a great deal of financial success in your work, and you're highly regarded in your community. You have a wonderful reputation. All of that's really good, right? That's the light side. But on the shadow side, which is just like the other side of the same coin, maybe you're reluctant to give up control. Maybe you have a hard time being spontaneous and playful, or simply enjoying life. Maybe you're really afraid of humiliation, or overly concerned about your image and how you look. You see how that works? Let's do another one, just for the practice. For instance, let's say that you're very outgoing, that you're a real extrovert. You love being with people, and they love being with you. Your life is filled with activities and adventures, and you move from one to another daily or moment by moment with lots of joy. Again, all great. But on the shadow side, the other side of that same coin, maybe you never slow down enough to really get to know yourself better. Maybe you're always running on high octane, but you need some reflection time to think about what all of your activity means so that you're not just skimming the surface of your life. Maybe all your activity is distracting you from an issue or a fear that you don't want to face. So how does this help you to get to know your guides? Well, once you identify your shadow side, you can be sure that you have a guide to help you with it. And why is that? Because again, that's where we have the greatest opportunities for soul growth. And that's what our spirit guides are all about, is helping us grow on that soul level. You can think of your guides like coaches. If you've already perfected your swing or your tackle or your gymnastics routine, you don't need as much coaching as if you're just starting out, right? And just developing those abilities. So if you look at something in your life where you're a newbie or a part of yourself that you've avoided for a long time, you can bet that your guides want to support you in moving forward and getting past the fear that's holding you back. So in that way, knowing your shadow side can introduce you to the guide that's specifically helping you in that area of your life. So here's what I want you to do. Take a few minutes to, in quiet, sit down and write out 3 of your strongest qualities. Whatever they might be, just the ones that come to mind, the ones that you're most proud of or that you love most about yourself. Once you've written those down, then also describe the shadow side, just as we did that other side of the coin. Now, doing that alone will give you some powerful information about yourself. You might have all sorts of aha experiences just from doing that. The key is to not judge yourself about the shadow side, to just witness it, to just look at the opportunities for growth that it gives you without feeling bad about it or without blaming yourself or without feeling that you have to hide it from yourself, which is what our egos will often do. Then, once you've identified the 3 shadow sides, the other sides of those 3 qualities that you love about yourself, sit in silence and one by one, ask to meet the guide who is helping you with that aspect of yourself. You might say something like this: I know that I'm sensitive to other people's needs and I create a safe space for them. That's the light side. But the shadow side is that I often give myself away and I don't value my own needs enough. I'd like to communicate with the guide who can help me in this area of growth. And then sit in silence and simply be aware. You might hear a response or feel a sensation in your body. You might start to write something down, just feel some information flowing through you. Or you could see colors or images. You might feel a presence. And if you don't experience anything at first, that's okay. Just pay attention to anything that you feel, no matter how subtle it may be. And trust that you're in communication with the perfect guide simply because you've reached out and asked. And know that the conscious communication, the conscious connection will grow stronger over time. Okay, so once you've done that, now write down a list of questions for that particular guide. You can make them very specific, but they could be along the lines of, what can my shadow side teach me? How can I grow from this? What am I afraid of? What can I do today to move past the fear? As you ask these questions, simply pay attention once again. And remember, you don't have to get a clear picture of your guide or know their name to communicate with them. Over time, you'll find the way that you receive communication best. So just trust it and keep coming back for more conversations. So why is it important to do this shadow work with the help of your guides? Well, the short version is that it'll make life so much better than it is now, and probably better than you even realized that it could be. That's the main takeaway. The thing is that bringing light and growth to your shadow sides will clear away fears so that you can move forward in your life without feeling stuck or constrained by limitations. Years ago, before I started doing some of this work, I always felt as though I was trapped in this thick plastic bag. That's the best way that I can describe it. I could see out, people could see me, I could interact with them, But I always felt as though there was some barrier between me and other people, and also between me and the person that I knew I really was, the person that I wanted to be. That was the shadow side. It was just keeping me locked up, keeping me constrained. And sometimes we don't know how to address it, but doing what I've just described to you with the support of your guides can help you to break out of that, break out of those barriers and those constraints so that you feel free and liberated to truly be who you are. By acknowledging and embracing your shadow, you welcome all parts of yourself. And think of how much energy you use every day denying the parts of yourself that you don't want to look at, or that you think will anger or disappoint someone, that you just don't want anybody to see because maybe it will cause you embarrassment, or you think that they'll judge you or criticize you. We just have no idea how exhausting it is to keep parts of ourselves hidden. It's as though we are museum curators, and we're very controlling about what we'll allow other people to see and what we keep hidden in the back rooms. We're constantly curating ourselves and how we present ourselves to the world. But by embracing your shadow side, you can bring the different parts of yourself into balance. For instance, if you're afraid of being bossy, if we go back to that example that we used earlier, and you're overly polite to compensate, well, again, think of the energy of suppression that it takes to be so polite. Maybe you want to speak out or speak up, but you don't. You want to say something brash or direct, but you bite your tongue. But by embracing your shadow side, you bring the bossy and polite sides of you into balance, so you can be clear and direct when you need to without blowing a fuse. And you can be polite, but also speak up if someone does something that's unacceptable. So that balance is the real you. That's the authentic and free you to be all the different parts of who you are. Not only is that what you want for yourself, but that's what your guides want for you too. So to really reinforce this, I want to do a visualization that will help you to understand a shadow side, a part of yourself, and really be in touch with the guide who can help you to understand it and to grow from it. This visualization will help remind you that your guides are here with you always and that all is well. And as usual, when the visualization is over, this podcast will also be concluded. And what I'd like you to do at that point, if you're in a place where you can, is to get a piece of paper and a pen, or sit down at the computer or speak into your phone, whatever's convenient, and record anything that comes to you through this visualization that you want to remember and to capture. These visualizations, as we've talked about before, are very much like dreams, and if we get very far away from them, we can forget the message that they had for us on a conscious level, even though the message will be recorded on a soul level. So it's helpful to write these things down, go back to them, work with them, ask your guides about them, and keep learning. And that's especially true with this visualization that we're going to do today. Before we do that visualization, I just want to say thank you again for listening. I hope that you enjoyed it, and there is more to come. So don't forget to subscribe to the Sacred Stories podcast stream on iTunes. And if you'd like more information about your spirit guides, please pick up a copy of Let Your Spirit Guides Speak through Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and your independent bookstore. Also, I'd love to hear any questions or experiences that you have about meeting and getting to know your spirit guides. So you can find my contact information on my website at deborahengel.com. Well, with that, let's move into the visualization. And what I'd like you to do is to sit very quietly, close your eyes, and start to take in some deep, deep breaths. Go ahead and shift in your chair just a bit if you need to become more comfortable. And then take in a deep, deep breath and let it out with a sigh. If you feel any fear or blockage or fatigue in your body, just breathe love and light and healing into that part of your body And then exhale anything that no longer serves you. Making space for a new experience, for openness, and to be completely relaxed. And now, in your mind's eye, see yourself in a beautiful open field on a sunny day. See yourself standing in the sunlight and feeling the warmth of those rays on your face. Know that you feel strong and confident because you're embracing your greatest strengths, the traits that you love most about yourself, the things that make you proudest to be you. Just soak in that feeling and feel the strength in it. And now, as you look around in this open field, see a nearby tree, big tree with a big canopy. Underneath that tree is shadow. Recognize that that shadow or the shade cast by that tree is one of your shadow sides. And just to take a moment to ask what shadow side this represents in you. Know that it's perfectly okay to acknowledge and embrace that shadow, because your guide, the guide who is perfectly suited to help you with this soul growth, is right here with you. See your guide taking your hand and stepping with you into that circle of shade, into that shadow. And then take a deep breath and know that this part of you is a place where you can grow and you can learn. If any past memories or any hurts come up, simply lean into your spirit guide and know that you're safe, that you are under divine protection. And now see yourself patting the trunk of the tree that's creating the shadow. And know that this is you, your life and your experience. Just as you felt the strength in all of the things that you love about yourself, feel the strength in this tree, knowing that your shadow side has helped bring you to where you are in your life right now in this moment. And now, if there's anything that you want to know or understand about your shadow side, take a moment to ask your guide, and then just be quiet and listen. And now ask your guide this question: how can I grow from this shadow side? And wait quietly for a moment, and again, listen. Now, if there's anything that you are willing to release in this shadow that might be holding you back, go ahead and ask your guide for support in making that happen now. Take a moment to express your thanks to your shadow side for everything that it's done for you. And express thanks to your guide as well for your guide's support and wisdom. Now see yourself stepping out into the sunlight once again, feeling strong and trusting that all is well. Honor and acknowledge yourself for taking this step, for reaching out, making a connection, asking for help, and having the courage and the willingness to bring your shadow side to the light. Know that you can come back to this place for more soul work, for more shadow work at any time, always with the help of your guide. And now take in a deep breath. Let it out with a sigh. And then very gently and slowly, and as you're ready, open your eyes, come back to your space, and record anything that you'd like to remember from your experience.